Was? Das war's schon? Ich hätte mir eigentlich eher gedacht gehabt, dass die uns jetzt gleich ergreifen oder sonst was.
Besides, people won't be expecting incoming traffic while the crown contest is still underway.
Ich hätte mir jetzt eigentlich fix gedacht gehabt, so ergreift sie dies, das, jenes, irgendwas in der Richtung, dass wir so quasi gleich mal als Gefangene erzählen. Das ist definitiv ein bisschen zu einfach. Du hast es schon verschrien, jetzt müssen wir safe gegen irgendwen kämpfen.
We've come all this way on a hunch that this red woman is here, right? And if we're lucky, the Ren is Alma too. Any idea where we should start looking?
There is an area of the city that is accessible only to the sovereigns, known as the Forbidden Zone. That seems as good a place as any for us to start.
Ich glaube, verbotene Zone heißt nicht immer sonst verbotene Zone.
I don't know. Hence my desire to find out. Fortunately, we just so happen to have a sovereign in our midst. In any case, changing the shape of a huge structure such as Lenegis would have required an immense source of power.
Also wenn sie sich nicht alle entscheiden können, dann spiele ich gerne den Herrscher, kein Problem. Überhaupt kein Problem. Bin zwar erst vor 300 Jahren gewählt worden, aber das wird schon. Aber dann hat auch nach 100 Jahren den Krieg beendet und weiter.
Whatever the ceremony's purpose, if preparations are underway for it to be held once more, then the Renis Alma might be in the same place as last time, possibly together with the Red Woman. Hiding something of that worth in the residential quarters would only court trouble. In which case...
It stands to reason we should be looking somewhere normally out of bounds. Is that it?
Indeed.
But it's been over 300 years since I was made a sovereign. You can't seriously think I'll be able to waltz right into the place after all this time.
There's only one way to find out. If there's even a chance you can get us in, I say we give it a shot.
Definitiv. Definitiv. Na, vielleicht haben sie noch die ganzen Daten oder sonst was.
All right. It's not like we're swimming in leads, so let's try to track down the Forbidden Zone.
Wie gesagt, die verbotene Zone wird nicht umsonst verbotene Zone heißen. Habe ich so das Gefühl. Also kann ich dann wieder zurück, oder was? Muss zwar nicht jetzt sofort sein, aber ja, wir können auch gern wieder zurück. Überhaupt kein Problem. Überhaupt kein Problem. Bin nur gespannt einmal auf den ersten Gegner. Quasi. Ja, da geht's ein bisschen ab. Ja, da herrscht definitiv Krieg. Ja, ne, so schlimm ist jetzt auch wieder nicht. Ein bisschen hier kaputt, ein bisschen da kaputt. Geh bitte. Aber man merkt, schön weit fortgeschritten. Das muss man schon sagen. Schaut arg aus. Aber wenigstens sieht man schon mal ein paar Leute. Das ist wenigstens schon mal etwas. Ich hätte mir gedacht gehabt, dass wir wirklich niemanden sehen.
What in the world?
This being Renin territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
Ein bisschen sehr zerstört.
What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes,
Was mich so interessieren würde, ist, wie viele Einwohner eigentlich Lenegis hat. Das wäre auch nicht schlecht zu wissen. Ob es nur ein paar Tausende sind oder doch ein paar Millionen oder sonst was, würde mich schon interessieren. Jetzt schon? Wir werden jetzt schon erkannt? Alles klar.
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people...
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana then?
Heard what?
Was, die haben gar nichts mitgekriegt?
Someone you know?
What the fuck?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim, don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
Wer ist denn die?
I see.
Oh.
Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself. Okay, Doe?
Doe. Alter. Doe. Was ist denn das für ein Name? Iggy. Doe. Alles klar.
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lenegis are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dana.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Danins poking their noses around.
Good idea. I think that's for the best.
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two.
Also, wenn es nach mir ginge, wer ist die heute? Also, die würde mich aber schon sehr interessieren, definitiv sehr, sehr, sehr interessieren. Also, da habe ich ein paar Fragen. Da habe ich definitiv ein paar Fragen.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city. Even the Zugals have stopped following our commands. Whatever did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary for us to know. We have no choice but to grin and bear it. But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris?
Du bist doch richtige Berühmtheit, what the fuck?
I believed he was on Dana.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty, the details of which I cannot divulge.
As your lordship wishes. First Lenegis mutates beyond recognition, now this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plans are inscrutable indeed. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praying for your victory in the latest crown contest.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Alter. Richtige Berühmtheit, what the fuck? Sag mal, Clemmy, bist du einer richtigen Berühmtheit unterwegs? Du bist doch deppert, oder? Jeder kennt ihn. Aber was? Ihren kennt er nicht. Also, das finde ich schon tragisch. Also, 300 Jahre kann sie über ihm. Na, nix. Keine Statue, sonst was. War ja doch Herrscher für eine ganz, ganz kurze Zeit. Also, will ich ja nur mal dazu gesagt haben. Interessiert mal wieder keinen. Eh klar. Klar. Ah, neues Rezept. Sehr schön. Sehr schön, sehr schön, sehr schön. Neues Rezept. Taugt mir. Wetten, der kennt auch da, lieb? Kennst du nicht zufällig unseren Charakter? Wie wär's denn? Der ist ein berühmter, Alter. Das ist ein Wahnsinn, Alter. Jeder kennt ihn, Alter. Kennt nicht wenigstens irgendjemand unseren Habschi?
Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red. Have you seen anyone of that description?
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time.
Wetten, der nächste kennt er. 100%. 100%. Der nächste gleich wieder so. Ja, hast du ein Lied? Die Burle Schule, ja, ist ganz beliebt. Wie geht's so? Ein bisschen schaut gut aus. Ist gut gesagt.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris!
Steppe, da Ilkwares, Alter. Steppe, da Transmaschine zwischen haben. Alles klar.
Strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here with what looks to be an entrance in it.
Sehr schön.
I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters, but I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renin, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
Er ist definitiv eine Berühmtheit. Er ist definitiv eine Berühmtheit.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent. Which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth. That Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Yeah. That one guy even said Zoogle would stop listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenegis?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegis has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenegis from so far away? What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenegis. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent. As for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganath Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered, until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we need to go.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction.
Aber die ganzen, Alter, noch mehr Fragen über Fragen, Alter, Peace-Tape, Alter. Ich beginne schon langsam wie bei Death Stranding, Alter, wo du mehr Fragen hast, als was beantwortet wird. Wahnsinn, Alter, Wahnsinn. Aber ich warte trotzdem noch immer auf den Moment, bis wir gefangen genommen werden. Irgendwie. Ist noch immer ein bisschen zu einfach alles. Ich weiß nicht.
But Dohalim was a lord, right?
Only current acting lords have power. Renan society is quite strict about such matters.
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do much about the situation.
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Lenegis now. Balsif, Cannabelt,
Ich kämpfe gerne auch mal gegen die.
Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the other lords.
Well, yeah, why would we? To us Danans, they were just enemies we needed.
Das wäre dann halt wieder genau diese Momente, wo du halt so sagst, du lernst ein bisschen die Lords besser kennen.
I know. But seeing Renans in their own city.
Der ein oder andere Lord hat ja doch auch schon seine kleine Mini-Geschichte zusätzlich gehabt. Also, ja, der ein oder andere Lord definitiv, der andere eher weniger. Und den einen oder anderen will ich gar nicht mehr sehen, weil der einfach nur ein wunderschöner 31er war.
Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here on Lenegis. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana, which means they should be more inclined.
Das auf alle Fälle. Das auf alle Fälle. Ich bin gespannt, also Bin gespannt, was die Leute so von den ganzen Lords und so alles drum und dran halten. So, der Hurensohn, da geht's, schleicht sich. Das wär's. Natürlich, natürlich. Jetzt bin ich aber gespannt. Hätte ich mir nicht gedacht gehabt. Aber ja, seine Anhängerschaft ist aber auch irgendwie klar, dass er sich gerade bei sowas umso mehr bemüht, oder? Irgendwie schon, irgendwie schon. Gerade die Anhängerschaft, wie Sie sehen, ist gerade bei den Abonnenten. Da bemüht sich hier doch ein bisschen mehr. Ja, wenn nicht, das Ständchen. Die sind ja voller Vorfreude. Bist du deppert? Das genießen sie so richtig. Na schau, wenigstens ein ganz kleiner Grinser kommt ja doch am Start.
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
What?
Schreckliche, was? Was? Immerhin, immerhin. Das auf alle Fälle, das auf alle Fälle. Weißt du, was ich aber auch noch ein bisschen, so einen kleinen Tick geiler gefunden hätte, wenn man so richtig auch gesehen hätte, diesen Statusunterschied vom Gewand her. Obwohl, wenn ich es... Schwierig. So ein bisschen so dieses eindeutige, okay, das ist die höhere Klasse, das ist die niedrigere Klasse. Will ich schon geil finden. Soll ich da noch weitergehen, oder? Nee, weil mit mehr Leuten kann ich da auch nicht reden. Lustiger. Mit mehr Leuten kann ich auch nicht reden. Ich glaube, das war's schon. Ja, mit wem soll ich denn sonst da reden? Mit mir selber, oder was? Das wär's. Bist deppert. Sagen wir her. Ah, ist dann doch wieder nicht so groß, aber dann dennoch wieder so. Ja, da kann man sich sicher schon mal austoben, hätte ich gesagt. Da könnte man sich fix austoben. Wenn er mal irgendwie das so angegriffen wird oder sonst was, das wäre saugeil. Wow. Ne, jetzt bin ich aber gespannt. Was? Oha! Ja, das haben wir definitiv zu spüren gekriegt, sagen wir es mal so. Das haben wir definitiv zum Spüren gekriegt. Definitiv. Definitiv. Ja, das habe ich mal schon gedacht. Da glitzert was, da glitzert was. Gleich mal wieder Gönnung. Schafsfleisch. Aha, ist okay. Man kann ihn nie genug haben. Nein, ich freue mich, da könnte man sicher so mehrere Kämpfe so haben etc. Ja, der Schauplatz wäre schon mal wieder perfekt, weißt?
Okay.
Allein schon wie er schon sagt, Wasserlaut, finde ich geil. Interessant. Also da redet mal keiner so hoch angepriesen, ja, der ist so gut, der ist so super und der ist so leibend, sondern dass da mal auch so ein bisschen was Schlechtes auch herrscht, dass einmal auch nicht immer jeder damit zufrieden ist. Ich kann mich nicht bewegen. Finde ich auch mal gut. Finde ich auch mal wirklich sehr gut. Naja, aber der ein oder andere denkt dann trotzdem wieder negativ drüber nach und das finde ich schon sehr wichtig.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies that more than the Lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you. Because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people, too. Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Renwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Shion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human being above all else.
Ist schon wichtig. Ist schon wichtig. Definitiv. Aber zeig mal her, wie viel FP? Also 1 kann man sich schon gönnen, hätte ich gesagt gehabt. 1 kann man sich definitiv schon mal gönnen. Und man sagt so, why not? Wiederherstellung für perfektes Ausweich ist schon mal definitiv nicht schlecht. Ich überlege auch wegen der ein oder anderen neuen Attacke definitiv. Okay, einfaches perfektes Ausweichen. Definitiv, definitiv. Hätte ich auch gesagt. Reduziert? Also, ich höre ich sehe nur irgendwas mit reduziert. Gefällt mir schon. Gefällt mir schon. Sprung in der Luft. Ermöglicht es dir einmal zu springen, während du in der Luft bist. Ah, so. Den Schaden in der Luft. Ja, sicher, weil ich habe so gesehen gehabt, so ab und zu, die ist auch ein bisschen in der Luft. Finde ich schon mal nicht schlecht. Ja, da bauen wir da die ganzen ALLE-Dinger da, die ist das jenes, damit er ein bisschen gescheit austeilen kann. Der Huren. Haben wir zwar eh nicht wirklich fix im Team, aber der muss ja auch ein bisschen austeilen, oder? Öde Abwehreffekte. Hört sich schon mal sehr, sehr sexy an. Würde ich jetzt mal sagen. Ja, dann gehen wir einfach noch geradeaus weiter, hätte ich. Schauen wir, ob da vielleicht noch sonst noch irgendwo da die ein oder andere Kiste sein könnte. Wäre schon sehr, sehr praktisch. Traumschille. Ich brauch da langsam da mal wieder so ein bisschen Action, so ein kleiner Kampf. Wird schon langsam wieder Zeit.
In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfried Milgras, the former lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfried whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegis?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegis from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
Ein kleines bisschen. Ganz kleines bisschen.
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renin by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Ne, ich bin sowieso gespannt. Auf den Herrscher und alles drum und dran. Oder wer weiß, ob nicht sogar